Hi, I'm Wendy Nelson, and this video is the first in a series about the 6 syllable types in English words. Every English word can be divided into syllables, and every syllable can be classified as one of 6 different types. No matter what word you're looking at, as long as it's not borrowed from another language, we can identify every syllable in the word as one of the 6 syllable types. And the first type of syllable that you should know about is called a closed syllable. A lot of the first words that people learn are usually closed syllables, words like cat or tip or swim. So what makes these closed syllables? Well, there are 2 questions that you need to ask to decide if a syllable is closed or not. And the first question is, how many vowels are in the syllable? These are our vowels here. If you see more than one of these vowels in the syllable, you can stop right there because you know it is not a closed syllable. Closed syllables only have one vowel. So if you're looking at a word and you count up the vowels and you see that there's only one, then we can move on to the second question. And that next question is, what comes after the vowel in this syllable? If there is nothing after that vowel, if the vowel is the last letter in the syllable, then stop, you're done. It is not a closed syllable. But if you see at least one consonant after that vowel, then congratulations, you have found a closed syllable. So now you know how to identify a closed syllable. Great, how does that help you? The main reason to learn about the syllable types is because it will help you figure out the vowel sounds in words. And knowing the sounds of vowels in a word are going to help you figure out how to read it correctly. So when syllables are closed, the vowels usually represent short vowel sounds. So if there's an A in a closed syllable, it's going to sound like ah. If there's an E, it will sound like eh. If there's an I, it will sound like I. If there's an O, it will sound like aw. And if there's a U, it will sound like most of the time. You probably already know it's rare for something to be true 100% of the time in English words. But most of the time, if you're looking at a closed syllable, you're dealing with a short vowel sound. So let's take a look at some words together and see if we can figure out which ones are closed syllables and which ones are not. So let me get some words up here on the screen. And we're going to start with this one here. So we're looking at this syllable and we're going to count the vowels. And I see an A right here in the middle. I don't see any other vowels. So that tells me, okay, this might be a closed syllable. That was question number 1. How many vowels? Do you remember question number 2? What comes after the vowel? And here's our vowel. After the vowel, I see a T. T is a consonant. That tells me this is a closed syllable. So now I can go ahead and read this because I know that this vowel is most likely going to make the sound of ah. Because it's a closed syllable, this is at, hat. Great, closed syllable. Let's look at the next one. How many vowels do you see? I see 1. I see an O right here. Okay, that's step 1, 1 vowel. Let's continue. What comes after the vowel? A P. Is P a consonant? Yes, it is. This is a closed syllable. Great, we found another one. Okay, so if this is closed, what sound is that O going to make? Aw, t, op, top. We found a closed syllable. All right, let's try this one. How many vowels do you see? I see 1. I see an O. All right, so now we move on to our second question. What comes after the vowel? There's nothing after this vowel. What does that tell us? This is not a closed syllable. So that's all we need to know. We're done with it. We're not going to do anything with a syllable if it's not closed right now. So we're going to just move on to our next word. You might know this word. You might know how to read this word, and that's great. But for right now, we don't care because it's not closed. We only want closed syllables. Here's our next one. How many vowels do you see? I see one. It's a U. What is after that vowel? I see a consonant. It's an N. That makes this a closed syllable. So that U is going to make it short sound. Sun. Closed syllable. Great job. Next word. All right. How many vowels do you see here? I see an A. That's a vowel. And I also see an E. That is a vowel. We have two vowels here. That tells us this is not a closed syllable, so we're just going to move on. We don't want to deal with it if it's not closed. All right, I see how many vowels? One. There's an I right there, one vowel. Is there something after the vowel? There's a P, that's a consonant. That means this is closed. Okay, so we know that this I is going to make our I sound in this word. We know, I hope, that SH is a digraph. Sh, I, p, ship. Closed syllable. We got it. And one more. How many vowels do you see? That's right, there are two, an O and an A. Those are both vowels. That tells us this is not a closed syllable, so we are not even going to look at it. That is the process. That's how we figure out, is it a closed syllable? And once we know whether or not it's a closed syllable, then we can start to work with the vowels. Closed syllables have short vowel sounds. I hope this was helpful. If you want to know more, go ahead and check out my other videos about the other syllable types in English. And until then, happy reading!